If you had told me 10 years ago that I would one day spend an entire weekend at a Pride festival dressed as gay Jesus, I would not have believed you. But it was one of the most beautiful experiences I have ever had. Let me tell you why. I grew up Mormon, like strict Orthodox LDS. I was attending BYU in 2008 when the church asked everyone to support California's Proposition 8. So I did. I didn't ask questions, I didn't need to. The church was the source of eternal truths. My first paradigm shift with my faith was regarding the LGBTQ community. After reading a rather extensive essay about the church's teachings on the subject, I realized that the church was wrong, that there is no doctrinal or scriptural foundation for the homophobia and transphobia that exudes from church podiums. I started to hope that my church leaders would seek further revelation on the matter because I was starting to see the pain that lots of people experience as a result of that queer phobia. Now, several years later, my life is quite different. My beliefs are completely different. And one thing I am passionate about now is queer pride. And that's partially because now I realize that gender and sexuality is not black and white. It's a wide, colorful spectrum that we all fall on somewhere. But for me personally, I'm more passionate about this because of pain from religious trauma, not just with myself, but I see it all around me, and it all results from queer-phobic religions. You think your religion embraces the LGBTQ community? Well, have you asked the LGBTQ community about it? Because their experience as a whole is completely different than what you'll hear from your leaders over the pulpit, and it's their experience that matters, not what your church leaders tell you their experience should be. So how did the queer community receive gay Jesus? Very well. Even knowing what I know, the response blew me away. I had what I would estimate between 300 and 500 people take their photo with me. Probably 100 people approached me just to get a hug from Jesus. I would guess a couple dozen people approached me just to thank me for what I was doing. One lady came up to me, embraced me in a hug, and stayed there for close to a minute. And when she finally released, she stood back and tears were just streaming down her face. She said, "Sorry, I shouldn't be crying." And I said, "No, you really should. There's lots of religious trauma going around." But was it controversial to have Jesus at the Pride Festival? No, not in the slightest. At least it shouldn't be. Those people at the festival loved the Jesus of the New Testament, the Jesus who taught to love one another, who said that the two great commandments are both to love, who said that the blessed who will inherit the kingdom of heaven are the meek, the lowly in heart, the peacemakers. They and I might not believe that Jesus was divine, they might not even believe that he existed, but they know his teachings because they live them. They live them much better than the vast majority of Christians do. I went to the Pride Festival with the goal of bringing smiles to the faces of those who carry heavy burdens handed them by harmful religious beliefs. But what I didn't realize is just how healing that would be for them and for me. Happy Pride.